Hey guys, welcome back. Today will be a shorter version of our Faber Residences review. We'll go straight down to the pricing as to what is a good price that we think you should enter in. Reason being because in this season, there's about a couple of launches. You might have missed out on the previous view like Sky on Holland or even River Green. And right now, maybe you might be able to get a good queue at Faber Residences or even Penreef, but you're not sure like what is a good price to enter for Faber Residences. So today is just my opinion on what is the suitable pricing to enter. Of course, it's down to your own discretion. And just a disclaimer is that all these are just for sharing purposes. If you do wish to make a purchase, please do consult a professional before you choose to buy any properties here, right? So without further ado, let's move on to Faber Residences. And when I'm going to talk about Faber Residences, I'm going to make a lot of comparisons with the other condos in this area, together with those in Clementi. If you are not familiar with Faber Residences yet, this is the Faber area that is in the Clementi zone, and this is the subject property that we're going to be talking about, that is Faber Residences. The condos before Faber Residences, we have Waterfront at Faber and Faber 𝒂𝒊𝒆𝒔. So to be honest, these two properties, right, they may not have enjoyed such a good visibility because from the main road here in AYE, you cannot really see these properties over here. So with the introduction of Faber Residences here, that will be along the AYE, that might actually bring about more eyeballs when they TOP next time in terms of the other properties here as well. Quick run through of these three properties here. Of course, we have Faber Residences, TOP estimated to be 2029 with 399 units, and then land size is 277,000. So the next newest one over here is Waterfront at Faber. It's around 7 years old already, with a smaller land size of 162,000 and 210 units. And lastly, of course, we have this project called Faber 𝒂𝒊𝒆. It's already more than 20 years, land size of almost 400,000 with 360 units. Most of them, when you can see from the map here, they enjoy different facings. All of them have units facing towards the Sungai Ulu Pandan Canal for Waterfront at Faber, for Faber 𝒂𝒊𝒆, and we have those inner internal facing. Later on, we will examine what is an appropriate price gap between those facing outwards, those facing inside, and those facing towards the landed property, so you know what is an appropriate price point to pay for the different facings. Today, I want to zoom in more about the Waterfront at Faber layouts because the performance of this project has not been the best so far, and I really want to investigate what is going on with regards to their layouts. When we look at the 2-bed layouts, they start from about 700 to 721 square feet, and this is the 2-bed 1-bath. The next largest unit type will be the 2-bedroom dual key, which is at 753 and 764 square feet. So based on experience, I can tell you that when you see in the resale market, right, when you see 700 to 721, you will tend to associate these two unit types to be about the same. Okay, so let's just investigate the 700 to 721 square feet units. We can see over here that most of the layouts, right, this is the 2-bedroom with 1-bath. Okay, so I personally feel that for 2-bed 1-bath, this is a very comfortable size, but then at 700 over square feet for 2-bed 1-bath, right, in my opinion, it is really quite big for here. So I rather they have built 2-bed 2-bath for this sizing. Not only that, you can see that they have also a bomb shelter for the unit, so I rather for the bomb shelter to be a bathroom in this case. And later on, when we see the other layouts here, right, you will see that not just the 2 bedrooms have dual key, but it's all the way to the 3 bedrooms and 4 bedrooms. From here, you can know what is the developer's mindset when they're actually selling this Waterfront at Faber resale unit back then last time as a new launch, mainly to position this more as an investment units kind of project. That's why they've done up a lot of the dual key. And back then, there are a lot of loft units that were also popular with investment projects. So this was the concept back then for Waterfront at Faber. What's the good thing about these loft units? Good thing about this is that this is how a loft looks like, and then you can actually have the mattress here together with a study area and the wardrobe here. And what is not so good about this kind is that for people doing it for own stay, sometimes they may not like it. Why? Because firstly, the staircase here already takes up space in the unit, and not a lot of people, they like to climb up the loft to sleep over here, because over here the ceiling can be quite short, so it's quite uncomfortable when you're lying down and then you're getting up. Sometimes if you're in a hurry or if you forgot, you may actually hit your head over at the ceiling. The effective footprint available for the bedroom to be used, right, is actually just this, and that actually cuts down the usable space in the bedroom by a lot. So this is something about the 2-bed 1-bath layout. Not only is big, only has 1 toilet, but the common bedroom sizes you see, the actual usable space may not be so much, and at the loft style, not a lot of people may like it. And then we talk about the 2-bedroom dual key. You can treat this like a 2-bed 2-bath in a sense that this could be your 2nd bedroom, but with this, you have to spend additional money to hack away the kitchenette, and not to mention that for this layout itself, you get to have 2 balconies, which is maybe not an efficient use of space for this layout. And not only that, you know, we see for the master bedroom, it has a platform as well. So it's really not so suitable for own stay. To reconvert back into a unit for own stay, there's a lot of work to be done. Secondly, for 700 over square feet layout, for the kitchen itself, you also do not get a enclosed kitchen or a tuck-in kitchen. These two layouts for the 2 bedrooms in terms of the livability is not so strong. So let's look at the performance in the resale market. But before that, I also want to introduce to you 2 other projects here that was launched in Clementi around the same time. So we're talking about Waterfront at Faber, which is the resale project that we have just saw the layouts, TOP 2018. And around the same timing, there were actually 2 other projects for sale as well. To see what is the difference in the resale performance between these 3 projects, here we have Trilling, that's TOP in 2017, and around the same time, we also have a project called Clementi Canopy, TOP 2019, which is here. Okay, nowadays for the newer projects, we also have Clairvon and Elta, and we'll be using some of these comparisons to compare with Faber Residences later. Let me just continue about the 2 bedrooms at Waterfront at Faber. So we can see based on the transactions here, for Waterfront at Faber, right, the 2 bedroom and 2 bedroom dual key total we have 54 units. And so far from 2018 until now, they have sold a total of 23 units. From here, I name it a churn rate, whereby I calculate the total number of units sold divide by the total number of units available. So based on this, right, I take 23 divided by 54, I should be able to get 42.5%. So that is my churn rate for Waterfront at Faber. And currently now you can see that there's 5 listings for sale in Property Guru as of today, right? And when we compare with Trilling and Clementi Canopy, they do have more units in the project. So naturally that comes with more number of units available built for the 2 bedrooms. And in this case, it's about 190 to 191 units. So far for the same time period, from 2018 until now, Trilling has sold a total of 43 units and Clementi Canopy has sold a total of 70 units. It could be because that Triling's 2 bedroom layout is not so good, and secondly, they have a 2 bedroom layout that ranges to about 1,000 over square feet. So that's something that maybe not a lot of people are willing to pay for, even though they can build a loft on top. But we can see the churn rate, right? Based on the percentage, Clementi Canopy's churn rate is about 36.6%, Trilling is 22.6%, and Trilling now currently has 17 units for sale. So that means that probably the units may not be so easy to sell in the resale market. And for Clementi Canopy, there is 8 units. Among these 3 projects, right, we can see that the Waterfront at Faber, they're able to let go about 42.5% of their units so far. Whether or not maybe it's not suitable for stay, or people buy already they regret, I think that that's not as important as the units being able to sell. So you can see that 42.5% of the 2 bedrooms are able to be transacted here in the resale market. Okay, so now we'll talk about the 3 bedrooms. So 3 bedrooms for Waterfront at Faber, they share very similar characteristics to the 2-bed 2-bath and the 2-bedroom dual key as well, in the sense that one of the rooms will always have this loft concept. To me, this is quite difficult to use and really I'll just spend some money to hack all these away. And if you notice here, right, the master bedroom, some of the layouts here, the master bedroom may not be as big as bedroom 2. Okay, so the master bedroom may not feel like the biggest master bedroom. So that's something that I've noticed about this layout. Okay, but good thing is a 3-bed 3-bath. You have a storeroom and then you have a WC here with a good size living and dining area. So that's something good about this. For the 3-bedroom, we do get facings towards the canal as well, as we can see from here. For this project, all the bedroom types, they have a dual key as well. So this is the 3-bedroom dual key here. So we have a studio unit here and a 2-bed 1-bath unit over this side. And 2-bed 1-bath unit, same thing here is that you have a loft concept here, and the storeroom is shared between the studio and the main unit, the 2-bed 1-bath. But I think 2-bed 1-bath unit you get to use this So total they have about 80 units of the 3-bed 3-bath and the 3-bedroom dual key. And when we see it in the resale market, so far 2020 until now, total of 22 units have been sold. So that means a churn rate of about 27.5%. Currently, there's about 4 units for sale. So based on these 4 listings, right, maybe some of them could be duplicate, I'm not sure. But you can see that so far every year, a couple of them have been sold. So I think that to clear this stock, right, it won't be so difficult in terms of their 3 bedrooms. For Trilling and Clementi Canopy, Trilling has 346 units of the 3-bedroom. You can see that the churn rate for Trilling at 27% is also quite similar to Waterfront at Faber. Clementi Canopy as well, 223 units of the 3-bedroom. The current churn rate is about 27.8%. And to be honest, there's not a lot of listings for sale currently. 5 listings for Clementi Canopy, 4 listings for Waterfront at Faber. And for Trilling, there's 9 listings because Trilling, there's for the 3-bedroom, there's one of the layouts that is very big with loft. And then the layout for Trilling is not so good because one of the bedrooms also very small. Okay, so that is to compare with Waterfront at Faber. So if you're thinking that if the unit is quite difficult to sell, I think that based on the statistics here, maybe it might not be so true, even though it's not so near MRT. So what I can say is that the demand in Clementi area, be it the true Clementi area or the Faber area, or in fact even for West Coast area, the projects like Twinview, Whistler Grand, I think that generally the take-up rate here is still quite healthy. Now we're gonna see the 4 bedrooms. So this is very similar to the 3 bedrooms itself that we have. Most of the time you will see that one of the bedrooms here, they will have the loft. And another thing to take note in common is that the master bedroom, the usable space over at this square may not be the biggest usable size compared to the common bedroom, because over here there's a lot of wasted space. So maybe people who are buying this for own stay, they may not like it. After going for viewing, they will say, hey, how come the master bedroom here feels like smaller, if not around the same size as the common bedroom? Then you may not have a feel good feeling about this unit itself. Another thing about these layouts is that for 1,002 square feet, the balcony here is huge, which they may not use as well. So that's something to consider. Let's say if you are looking to buy a resale over at the Faber area, these are the challenges that you will have when you need to sell Waterfront at Faber next time. So please just take note of these things. Okay, they have a 4-bed 4-bath here. This one is slightly more decent because out of the 3 bedrooms, right? Okay, 2 of them are ensuite. In this case, they still have the balconies here. To me, it's a lot of space wastage lah, right? And not forgetting the last layout we have here, we have a 4-bedroom dual key. This one is a little bit more decent because over here for the 4-bedroom dual key, right, we have a studio unit here. And then for the 3-bed 2-bath over here, at least for the kitchen, we have the enclosed kitchen. So to me, this is a slightly more decent layout compared to those that we saw just now, facing towards the canal. Right, so when we look at the performance for the 4 bedrooms here, total there's 65 units. And so far, there are 13 units have been sold. So the churn rate is a bit lower at 20%. Compared to something like Clementi Canopy where the churn rate is 23.7%. So my only concern here is that currently now for Waterfront at Faber, there's 7 listings for sale. I did not check whether is there any duplicate for these 7 listings, because nowadays for certain listings there can be 10 agents listing 1 unit, so I did not check this. If you are really interested in the 4 bedrooms here, you can do a check to verify the true number of units for sale here. If this is lesser, then I would say that the stats will add up quite nicely between these 3 projects. So overall you can see that for the 4 bedrooms, for the 3 bedrooms, okay, I think in terms of the sellability is still quite decent. Then again, later my concern will be, hey, even though these units are sellable, right, what is the price to pay, let's say when I compare with these two? Okay, because I'm going to use 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒂𝒐𝒓𝒄 to compare with Faber Residences later on. And now I'm going to talk about the price difference that existed between these 3 projects back then. Now we see that the take-up rate in the resale market is quite comparable between these 3 projects. I also want to check what is the price difference that existed in the resale market for these past 5 years. And I'm going to show you in the next slide. Okay, and how to understand this thing, right? So I've broken down the transactions for Waterfront at Faber, TriLink and Clementi Canopy for their 3-bed 3-bath in the years of 2021, 2022, 2023, all the way to 2025. And this is the transactions that were transacted averagely in the resale market. So take for example in 2021, we have Waterfront at Faber. Average price transacted in the resale market was 1.487 million back then, with an average per square foot of 1404 per square foot. When I compare with the average transactions that happened for TriLink 3 bedrooms, the pricing was 1.648 at 1575 PSF. And that means that the total price gap between Waterfront at Faber's 3 bedroom and TriLink's 3 bedroom is 10.88%, and the corresponding difference in terms of the PSF is 12.18%. And when I compare it with Clementi Canopy's 3 bedroom, they transacted in 2021 at an average price of 1.754 million and an average PSF of 1387 PSF. So that's a price difference of 18% and a PSF gap of 12.73%. Okay, and through the years we can see the different gaps that emerge throughout the transactions between TriLink and Waterfront, together with those of Clementi Canopy and Waterfront at Faber. So later on I will separate the price difference through the years, and you will see that what is the appropriate price difference to take between Faber Residences and the other new launch which launched earlier this year at Clementi as well, which is 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒂𝒐𝒓𝒄. So let me just talk a bit more about that before I return to the price comparisons between these 3 projects. So right now, Faber Residences will be officially selling their units in this weekend, and also earlier on in February this year there was a launch called 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓𝒄. They had their 3-bed 2-bath with an average per square foot pricing of about 2604 PSF and the average quantum of 2.410. So when I use all these difference in the pricing and the quantum later, right, I will compare 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓𝒄 together with Faber Residences, and you can decide for yourself what is a good pricing to enter for Faber Residences. Okay, let us just investigate the usability difference for the 2 layouts first. I will have to say that Faber Residences, the master bedroom is much smaller. For 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓𝒄, our master bedroom size is 14.1, so the one in Faber falls short by about 3 square meters. Common bedroom wise, actually the one in Faber Residence is bigger. Maybe let me add a 0.4 for the 2 bedrooms, the 2 common bedrooms. Balcony, okay, this one is actually bigger, 0.1, which is not much of a difference. Bathroom, all this is quite the same lah. Okay, the one at 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 is slightly bigger, which is almost minus 0.9. And then this one in 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 doesn't have a flex room, but the one in Faber Residences have. So I'll touch that in a bit. But let me just add together the sizing of the living room together with the kitchen. So this one is 30 square meters. This one add up together is about 38 square meters. So we lose a bit of space in the living and kitchen area. So it's smaller by 8 square meter, but over here we have a extra flex room by about 5 square meters more. So these are the differences that you'll be comparing with 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓. Basically, master bedroom slightly smaller, living room slightly smaller, but it comes out more with a flex room. So I think that this flex room is actually quite important lah. And when I add up these two, it's about 11 square meters. If I deduct away the 5 square meters difference, right? So that means that this 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 layout technically is about 6 square meters bigger. But for Faber Residences, I do have this flex room, which is very, very important that the 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 does not have. Okay, and when I compare with the other layouts in Faber Residences with 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓, I think that this will be a very similar comparison with the unit over here. Okay. And let's do a quick comparison again. Master bedroom here, so this one is smaller by 2 square meters. Common bedroom, okay, this one is bigger. Balcony wise, this one is smaller, 0.9. Bathroom, of course, okay, this one is smaller by 0.9. Main difference here will be the living and dining area lah. So over here, this one total is around 39 square meters, while this one will be 31. So the main difference here is that the living dining is slightly smaller by 8 square meter. But you do get a bigger space in the common bedrooms. Living room slightly small, but if you take a look at the show flat, possibly it could be acceptable for you as a homestayer. Why? Because for 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓, right, we actually do have wasted space over here as well. So this essentially can take up, I think, about 3 square meters of space already. So the effective space difference may not be so much there. Here, maybe 8 square meter, I minus away the 3, probably the difference is only a 5 square meter difference. And the one over here, probably the difference over here, we net off is about 6 square meters. The real size difference could be only about 3 square meters. So that is a lot more different, and both are actually harmonized already. So the comparison is quite fair. Okay, just now, right, we were talking about the price difference between Tri-Link with Waterfront Faber and Clementi Canopy and Waterfront at Faber. And we do have these results of the resale transactions through the years. And I'm going to use these numbers, right? Okay, I'm going to use these numbers to plug in together for 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 and Faber Residences, which are launching this year. Okay, so these two, based on the historical price trend between these 3 projects, right, I will actually list out what is the price difference that occurred previously for the resale projects around here lah. So at a glance, we can see, right, 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 average per square foot is 2,604 PSF, and I'm going to put 2 of the 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 pricing here. So when we see the price gap through the years, right, this is the price gap between the Clementi Condos versus Waterfront at Faber, and the price gap was 23.26%, and then this was the one for 2024. Okay, at 21.44%. Similarly, over at this side, the price given here is for Tri-Link versus Waterfront at Faber at 2025. The year was 17.83%. 2024, the price was 22.66% price difference. So I'm using this and I'm plotting it against 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓. So if I'm taking 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓, right, 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 have transacted at an average PSF of 2604 PSF this year. And when I take the similar price differences, right, okay, between the years, these are the PSF that actually pop out for Faber Residences. So why am I doing all this, right? It's because we can see, right, so the price difference was not the same throughout the year for the resale market. So you can see that the price difference for Tri-Link versus Waterfront at Faber, the price gap through the years are actually not the same. And it's a similar situation for the Clementi Canopy versus Waterfront at Faber as well in the resale market. So what we can do here, right, when we look at this thing, we will have this in mind. So for example, for Faber Residences, right, should I buy it at this kind of price gap compared to 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 or not? Or should I buy at this kind of price gap? Okay, which one is safer? Obviously, if I buffer myself for this kind of buffer when I purchase Faber Residences, it will be better. Why? Because let's say if I buy something at 17.83 per square foot difference. So now 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 per square foot is 2604 per square foot. If I enter Faber at 2209 per square foot, then the price difference now is 17.83%. But through the years, the price gap can be higher and the price gap can be lower. To let myself have a safety buffer, right, I would want myself to space out in terms of the price gap to be the heaviest buffer first, so that when the price gaps are lower, right, I can actually take advantage of it as well. Secondly, if I buy it at a pricing that is of the widest price gap, right, that means my price growth more or less will follow 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓's pricing already in the resale market. So that's the reason why I'm doing all this, and I hope you can understand. So in terms of the 3-bed 2-bath, this is probably the PSF that I'm looking at, which I do not want to cross. If you want the pricing for the 4 bedrooms or the 2 bedrooms, do reach out to me. I'll help you to do a table as well. But due to time constraint, I can only do this calculation for the 3-bed 2-bath. Okay, and in terms of the price quantum, this is the average price being transacted for 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒓 Okay, and if I do the similar markdown in terms of the price quantum, then these are the pricings that we are looking at. Okay, so the percentages are different. This is the one for the per square foot, and this is the one for the price quantum. And if we tally back with the resale market performance, right? Okay, I actually took these numbers from here. So for example, Waterfront and Faber in terms of the quantum, okay, there's a price gap of 15.4% in the year 2025, and the PSF gap is 17.83%. So when we look back here, right, 17.83% and 15.4%. So this is how I actually come up with the pricing for Faber Residences. Okay, and if I actually compare the 3+ flex over for Faber Residences, right, I'll just do a quick comparison as well. 11 square meters, 14 square meters. Okay, so here smaller by 3 square meter, and then bedroom size here is slightly bigger for Faber Residences as well. Okay, of course their third bedroom is bigger. So main difference you will see here, right, based on the living and the kitchen space, difference is actually in the living room size only lah, which is from here about 9 square meter difference. Okay, study space here is about the same also. So we add up based on the floor plan comparison, right? Flex for 3+ study here at 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒄 versus a 3+ flex at Faber Residences is quite similar to the 3-bed 2-bath in terms of the size difference. Main difference is actually only in the living space. So if you went to the show flat, if you've seen the 861 square feet layout, if you find that the living room space is decent enough, then maybe you can really consider the 3+ flex over at Faber Residences. And if I compare the 1033, 1044 square feet for Faber Residences versus 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒄, then I would say that the main difference is that the kitchen is slightly bigger over here. The rest of the space are quite similar to the 3+ study just now. So for example, the master bedroom sizes and the common bedroom sizes are the same for the 3+ flex as do here. And then when we compare with the 1023 square feet, the size difference is quite similar. So instead of having a study here, we do have a bomb shelter for Faber Residences, which is the same size as the study for 𝑭𝒊𝒂𝒑𝒐𝒄. Living room space here is just a little bit smaller at 4 square meters, but Faber Residences do enjoy a bigger kitchen at 16 square meters compared to 8 square meters. In terms of the size, it's almost the same. It's just a trade-off between living room space or kitchen space. And I realized that I didn't talk about the difference in the facing just now. So let me just go back to the pricings for the transactions done for Waterfront at Faber. Okay, we can see here, for 3 bedrooms, they have units facing the canal, they have units facing inwards, and they have units that are internal facing. So I've actually color coded this in terms of the color. The green color ones are the ones here that are actually facing the canal. The blue color ones are actually the ones facing internally towards the pool. And the red color one could be facing another unit directly. So you can see in the resale market for the 3 bedrooms, right? Generally, there is not a big price gap between the good facing and the not so good facing. And this is quite consistent throughout the year. So in 2024, it's like that. 2023 is like that. Okay, 2022, 2021 is almost very similar. So I would say that, you know, let's say if you really want to buy for own stay, if you really want the view, then go ahead and pay whatever is required for Faber Residences. But if you're looking for an investment point of view, right, then what I can tell you is that in the resale market, in terms of the facing, actually the price difference for the difference in the facing is not there. So I would say that if you're going for investment purposes, then if the price is the same, of course I will take the better facing because very high chance it will be easier to sell. But if there's a price gap between the good facing and the not so good facing, then maybe I will take the cheaper unit if the layout is the right layout. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. And this is not just seen for Waterfront at Faber as well. So remember just now, I've shown you in the map, there are another project over here at Faber Crest as well. That is slightly older compared to Waterfront at Faber. So when we see the resale transactions for Faber Crest, right? Let me just scroll over to the page. Okay. I can tell you that for Faber Crest, even for the 3 bedrooms, the color coding is the same. Okay, green color coding is for the one facing the canal, blue color is the one facing the pool, purple color is facing landed, and the red color is the internal facing. Generally similar to Waterfront at Faber, the pricing done here for Faber Crest is also similar in terms of the per square foot. So there's really not much PSF difference for the different facing, and as I mentioned, it's not just for Waterfront at Faber, this is also for Faber Crest as well. And due to the lack of time, if you're really interested in Faber Residences, do contact me. I'm sure I'll be able to value add to you in terms of the unit selection here. And that's all for today. I will just keep it short. Thank you. If you have liked the content that we have done so far, please like and share our videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!